Tell me your first call pulling up. First thing you did.
That was company representative. Ray, he explained what happened. Meeting locked out, start the shop. I did that. It was great to do. Got as much information I could for Ray about what was going on. I mean, everybody accounted for, you had one person missing. Had a vision of him down in our conference. No communication for 15 minutes before our conference. Brian came and kneeling for Brian in the role of the rest of the people. I took him in, four people took him in.
So Brian was all about that.
I got here. Company people about that guy. We got that people to do that job. We have that. The rep, the drum, the spin, I didn't have to spin it. So we know, like, we should put it. Okay, I'm going to get a ratchet from them. Let's start with get a visual with the back. Definitely back to see that great. On the top, I see a little bit of the hose. That's why I pick up stuff on there. You have to move. So the easy getting out, you have to have somebody to do it. That's no problem for that.
So realistically, that would have been prime, like the real incident. We would have been like maybe 231 or tower 2 instead of a high point anchor. I threw the wrench into the tower 2's out of service today, so good luck with that. Right, so everybody's out of service. You can't use anybody. They're all here. So that would have been ideal. One thing I screwed up when I took the trench trailer, not the collapse trailer, I was thinking gold struts would have been high enough. In this case, it wasn't because we were trying to set up a high point anchor, realized the struts weren't going to reach. Or if it was going to reach, it wasn't going to give us a high enough point to be able to attach to. So Thursday, bring the collapse truck as opposed to the trench trailer, so that would work out a lot better for training. Otherwise, kind of made it work to make shit fly on the other side. So Mike, you can walk around the other side of the
Sure. Looking at popping away with the drum movement. He said it's like anything else. If it's hot, the weight's high, it's going to come down. He said there was drum movement beforehand. It's high, just the weight of the barrel itself or whatever that happened to be inside.
That's the other part. Once we walk on the other side, set up the actual rescue operation, talk about that. Greg and Roger are going to go over talking about just the truck itself, the mechanics of it, what we can lock out, tag out, what we can cut, can't cut, what we can move, can't move, stabilization-wise. I was just telling somebody over here when we did a heavy lifting and reading class in North Carolina. They essentially took a loaded one of these drums and just had the drum itself on top of a car. We had to stabilize and lift it and lift the car out. So obviously you have a 30,000-pound egg, and then trying to exactly. Not to mention the fact that it being well, you're putting chain on it that's going to slide down. So you having to put that center attachment strap to hold the two side chains on, and that gives you your lifting point as well. So like you know what we're doing.
Once we figured out that the bipod wasn't an option, we just went old school. Would have been great if we had a little bit of a taller ground ladder, but we used what we had. Through inside conveyed to Brian, they feel like they could Georgia haul him up to the opening. I think we could have probably hauled him up if we would have put some rope or some padding on that opening. But regardless, it worked. So once they lifted him up, we just belayed him down. Our thought with the ladder is to kind of make it bomb-proof. Again, because of the shape, I was worried that thing was going to slide down. So the guys did a great job here. They used 2 of the Aztecs to pin it back, pin the bottom of the ladder back. The only thing I would have done a little bit different, because as Brian was lifting that victim up, he started to slide down, right, towards the front. Is I may have considered taking the rope and doing a change of direction, maybe just even at the tip of the ladder, just something. Remember, we're belaying, we're not hauling, right? So anyway, I think the op went well for what we had, and we made it work. And safety, Steve, was it safe for you?
Yeah. So I think the other consideration we have to think about is the whole aspect of lifting it through the hole. You guys got lucky because the heavy dummy had turnout to it. I didn't feel like taking it off and putting it in. If you would have had the 185-pound dummy, that would have went a whole lot different than the 66-pound dummy that was in there. So what we did today probably wasn't going to work. If it was, it's going to be a lot more difficult than not. So just something to also consider before we go to the whole through the whole aspect of we had a 66-pound dummy, not a 185-pound dummy. So I mean, again, setting up a high point anchor is all about being high enough to have enough clearance and leverage to be able to pull them out. And that's what we all do. So having all that rubber to do that, but we made it what we can. Talking with Roger and Greg, some of the other options. So if the companies that come in sometimes they use their own guys. This really isn't an issue for them, but other companies that have outside contractors that come in, this is basically their sole job. And correct me if I'm wrong. They come in here on the weekend. They pay them X amount of money to come in here on the weekend inside this drum and chip the concrete out. So most times, obviously, they're going to take that side panel off, but it's having sometimes to slide that drum on it. And you get it the easy way and not have to deal with Roger or Greg, if you want to talk about a little bit about your operations as far as how that goes, or what your guys have to do to clean these drums or your gate.
Their hose, their extension cords, their lights, do all their work. Climb back out and discharge the chip concrete, get back in it. We'll do that 6 or 7 times, depending on how much buildup is actually in the truck, what it is. It has to be discharged out of the way so they can get back in there and work.
Your guys use the hazard.
My guys do that.
So it's,
It depends on who's doing it, how they want to do it. And typically, the crew comes in. If we hire a crew that comes in, these guys travel the country. That's all they do. They do this work in the evening, after hours. We're not here. They're on their own. They're out in the back lot. They work all night. By the time we get here in the morning, they packed up and gone.
Now, they enter from the top. They switch from accessible.
They don't worry about it. It's just wherever it is. If you ever have to take those hatches off, they just bring both up. That hatch will not just fall out to you. You'll have to get in there with a hammer and a speed and chip it. It's a seal. Okay, some of them are silicone, some of them you got to break that to get that off. The whole thing is going to just fall to you, and then that lip. But the drum, when you go in, that gets razor sharp. Just from the concrete welding into all day long. So we put a piece of bone, and that gets sharp. You guys should carry tools with you to take that hatch off.
Yeah, we have a pocket.
15, 16. And the brace for
we did an operation for training at Houston, and we went in the back, and then the game plan was to remove that chute. And it didn't matter. We didn't have enough air pressure, the impact on that we could not get the concrete broke up around the bolt. We couldn't get that thing to fall. There's no way to cut it. The chute was off.
We use a different air operator, different element, both. No, it's not.
And maybe think about that when you were talking about that side house. That one didn't come off.
Okay. That side of it, is it lower this side?
Welded enough to the inside of the hatch ring. Put a hatch ring. No, you just cut a ring.
So the other consideration to think about is just out of the side of the confined space drum, which say this thing flips over on top of the car. So we're going to be one of the only resources, there's a handful of people that have a tech structure around the county, but obviously the complement that we have is what we're going to need. One, height-wise, two, weight-wise, to be able to support and or lift this small scale take off. So just go back to the weight rating. So this training that I did years ago, walking these guys, the yard of concrete weighs 4,000 pounds. So the yard of concrete, if I put 4,000 pounds in, take it 10 yards. So 40,000 pounds of weight just in the passenger truck itself, laying inside the car, plus you look at the truck weight itself. The way I've always kind of figured it out is I count the axles. So 17,000 pounds per tandem, said drop axle is 13.5, and then you got a 25,000 pound front axle. So add all those up, there's your max GVW. So obviously the vehicle can way more than the axles can support. So take your max worst case scenario, that's what you're dealing with. But obviously wet concrete will be a lot lower as well. So as far as how the drums mounted, the truck itself is really not crazy about the solar.
In the front here, there's a ring of bolts around the front. That's really all is holding it up. It sits on these 2 back rollers up in here, and it's just sitting there by weight. You go to the very top. I see it here, the little flat bar comes out, and all that is just keep the drum from jumping. If it does empty, you hit a run through the city, it'll hit that. That's all it is. But all it's holding out is that front bolt. That's it. It's hooked to the gearbox, right where that young lady's standing, right in there.
So there again, reinforcing the point, this thing tips over, falls on top of the
It
car.
will jump out.
Your stabilization is going to have to be that big 30,000 pound egg.
If we go in a real bad lean and we have to get a wrecker, we will support that drum from. We don't want to go wherever we just try to support.
Anybody else have any questions, anything, comments?
Just remember, we're seeing it now with a lot of the newer trucks, a lot of plastic. Where we used to have steel, like these fender rest were all plastic, where we had steel before, and it supported a lot of the weight of people walking. Eric actually made a good point that look how this is curved, plastic. If you start walking on this, you've got to get around that drum. You're going to start walking on the outside of this, and it's going to be slippery. You're going to fall off. It was interesting, right where the clutch is sitting, little metal bead. So I don't know what the looks like little.
From the inside of the drum from they manufactured it.
See, so you got that stuff that. Luckily, knock on wood. Brand new truck, we don't have to deal with anything. But like you said, there's stuff that we've got to worry about with concrete. And if our guys get in there with no PPE on, now we got to worry about getting that concrete off before we get the problem. Especially if you start mixing it with other chemicals to set it up faster, stuff like that. We've got to know that too. What is the load actually consistent of? And what other stuff that they put in. The blocks that you guys, the wedges you got here, I would probably come back up here to these rollers and jam them in these rollers and jam it back here where it gets on this heavy metal. Again, the plastic is probably going to support it, but if it starts doing something, it's just going to crush that plastic. So just keep thinking that while what we are doing is fine, you can look underneath. We have better access than we had before with that. You can take those wedges, just wedge them on that crane with too. Just like we do in crane. Jam it with shoring, you know, the other thing. Like you said, back here, we used grip hoists before to secure the top of this drum back into this drum. Where if we got chain, put the chain over top of it, get a chain binder, and hold that drum down that. So just a couple things that we look at. You know, the bipod, you guys look at trying to do the bipod, but one was a problem. Didn't have enough height, right? Can we look at the bipod, put it together, see if we can put the feet on the frame up there? Would that have gotten us enough? Or if we got the monopod head, put the monopod head up here, now we can control both ways and have that correct. A lot of different things with these that we got to look at. I'm a big guy. We have access to these wheels, go through the wheels. One thing we mentioned over here, either slings, we make a dog bone now that you can shove through the center, pull back on it, or lock whatever you have in there, or even getting small slings just to do that where you're not chaining up the rim or screwing up the rim, you can put it through there and now get 3 or 4 feet out of the wheel to be able to lock those things. And it's better. We got a couple of them in the logistics building. Some of the slings that they're using on soft tackle, they work very well because they're not going to do anything or anything like that. They're easier to get in, and they make them different.
That's also we could drop those here. There. So
You could put slings right now. And that's the other thing too, just like Eric was saying. But look how heavy this truck is. Our biggest concern realistically is going to be that drum and trying to get it spinning up and trying to secure that to make sure it doesn't get away.
Honestly, well, my thought was I wanted to stretch the webbing and not those slings
Okay.
because of the grease, but this truck's so clean and what it is.
Right, there's no dirt on it.
Just remember, this pencil is $22,000.
Right.
$73.
So to me, the webbing is the weak point in the system. That's just how I look at this. I look at that.